You wake up tired, even when you technically slept enough. You reach for your phone before your eyes fully open, not because you're excited, but because silence feels heavy. You scroll, not really reading, just letting noise enter your brain so you don't have to meet yourself yet. And somewhere in the back of your mind, there's this quiet pressure, like you're already behind and the day hasn't even started. You tell yourself you just need more discipline, more motivation, maybe better time management. But deep down, mornings feel like walking onto a stage before you've decided who you are that day. So you fill the space. Notifications, emails, news, other people's opinions, other people's urgency. By the time you finally get out of bed, your brain already feels crowded, your attention feels scattered, and you haven't created anything yet. You've only reacted. And here's the uncomfortable truth most productivity advice never says out loud. Some morning habits don't just slow you down, they quietly train your brain to abandon its own rhythm. They teach your nervous system that your needs come after everyone else's noise. And if you felt strangely drained before noon, it's not random, it's conditioning. Because your morning isn't just the start of your schedule, it's the start of your identity for the day. You are not lazy, you are not weak, and you are definitely not bad at mornings. What likely happened is much simpler and much more human. You adapted to a world that rewards urgency, stimulation, and constant availability. Somewhere along the way, you learned that being reachable mattered more than being regulated. Being informed mattered more than being clear-headed. Society loves fast reactions, fast replies, fast opinions, but your brain was not built for instant emotional and informational overload the moment you wake up, especially if you are naturally reflective, sensitive to stimulation, or mentally deep processing. You didn't fail productivity systems. Most productivity systems failed to consider nervous system reality. The truth is, many of your unproductive mornings were actually your brain trying to protect you from overwhelm. But without understanding what's happening, protection can look like procrastination, avoidance can look like laziness, and mental buffering can look like lack of focus. You were never broken. You were overloaded before you even had coffee. When you wake up, your brain transitions from a low stimulation repair state into an alert state. During this window, your nervous system is extremely sensitive to input. Think of it like wet cement. Whatever presses into it first leaves the deepest imprint. If the first thing you do is check your phone, you trigger small dopamine spikes. Dopamine isn't just pleasure, it's anticipation and seeking. Each notification teaches your brain, look outside yourself for direction. Over time, your brain starts craving external signals before it can even generate internal focus. At the same time, your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for planning, decision-making, and impulse control, is still warming up. It doesn't reach full functional strength immediately after waking, so when you flood yourself with choices, information, and emotional signals early, you're forcing a half-awake brain to manage full-day complexity. That creates cognitive fatigue before real work even begins. There's also your stress response system. If your first inputs are emails, bad news, or urgency signals, your nervous system may activate low-level threat detection. Not panic, just subtle vigilance. But vigilance drains energy fast because your brain thinks it needs to prepare for problems. On top of that, every micro decision you make early consumes decision energy. What to reply, what to read, what matters today. By the time you sit down to do meaningful work, your brain has already spent fuel on things that didn't move your life forward. This is why certain morning habits feel harmless but quietly sabotage productivity. They don't just waste time, they change your brain's operating mode from creator to reactor. And reactors don't build deep focus, they survive stimulation cycles. If you look back, you might notice a pattern. Maybe you learned early that staying alert to other people's needs kept you safe. Maybe you became good at reading emotional environments quickly. Maybe rest felt unfamiliar or even slightly uncomfortable. Burnout doesn't always come from working too hard. Sometimes it comes from never fully turning inward. Overstimulation can feel normal when you grow up in noisy, emotional, or social environments. Silence can feel empty instead of peaceful. Stillness can feel like something is missing instead of something is healing. There might also be subtle abandonment fears wired into your attention patterns. Not dramatic ones, just small internal rules like stay available, stay aware, don't fall behind, don't miss signals. So mornings become less about starting your life and more about scanning the world to make sure you're still safe inside it. And that's exhausting. Not because you're weak, because you've been running emotional background programs for years. Ask yourself something honestly. When you reach for stimulation first thing in the morning, are you choosing it or hiding inside it? If your phone disappeared tomorrow, would your mornings feel calm or exposed? There's no judgment in the answer, only information. Because productivity isn't about forcing discipline, it's about noticing whether your habits support who you are becoming or protect who you used to be. Sometimes you're not avoiding work, you're avoiding meeting yourself without noise around you. And that's a very human thing to do. But it's also a choice you can slowly change. The world is loud, fast, addicted to urgency, but depth has always moved slower. People who build meaningful work, meaningful relationships, meaningful ideas rarely start their days in reaction mode. They protect the fragile, quiet state where original thought is born. Your brain is capable of deep focus, deep pattern recognition, deep emotional intelligence, but depth requires mental oxygen, and constant stimulation is like breathing through a straw. You don't need perfect mornings, you just need mornings that belong to you before they belong to the world. Because productivity is not about doing more things, it's about doing the right things with a clear nervous system. And clarity is not loud, it's not dramatic, it's quiet, stable, intentional. If you've always felt slightly out of sync with hustle culture, that might not be a weakness. It might be your brain protecting your depth. I'm curious about you. What is the very first thing you usually do after waking up? And do you think it helps you or drains you? Write it in the comments. I read more of them than you think. If this made you feel understood in a way most productivity advice doesn't, you'll probably want to stick around. There's a lot more about how your brain actually works that most people never get taught. And in the next video, we're going to talk about why some people do their best thinking at night and what that says about their nervous system.